Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I want to talk to you about a very real risk to Rocket Lab that I personally have not considered yet. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because Rocket Lab has recently fallen 20%. It's at a very low period in the stock price, and I see on Twitter that there's a lot of new people who is thinking about maybe buying the stock, and there's a lot of current stockholders who are thinking about adding more. So this channel is never about financial advice. This is more like my thoughts and entertainment. So I want to give you my thoughts about Rocket Lab. And I'm going to start this video by actually going through the positive catalysts that can be for Rocket Lab in the near term. Like, what are the things that can make the stock price go up quite a lot? And then I will go over the very real risks. And the last one I will take the last risk that I have never considered before, which is a very real risk that we all need to think about when we think about buying Rocket Lab, and think about how much of your portfolio you should position into Rocket Lab. So as always, if you like this content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, and let's go. So the catalyst for Rocket Lab that can make the price go up is basically just carrying on with their plans. Q1, they have guided for a 95 to 100 million revenue quarter. And out of that, 65 to 78 million is space systems. Now, space systems is not weather dependent, is not customer dependent, is not approval dependent from the FAA. So I kind of feel like that's in the bag. And keep in mind that Q1 2023 was like 50 something million. So even if they shoot up 0 rockets, they have like a 30% revenue growth in the bag, but we already know that they are shooting up rockets. So I feel that this is going to be a very positive catalyst. Even if they don't reach the 100 million, I feel we're going to come quite close to it. And if we would reach the 100 million, I calculated once, it's like an 83% revenue increase year on year. And that's very nice growth. If we don't reach it, because maybe we don't do 5 rocket launches, maybe we do 4 or 3, then it's only like a 60% revenue growth. Still very amazing. So this is positive catalyst number 1. So number 2 is just staying on track with these launches. So this is from their last earnings report. Oh, I can't make my face go away. Maybe I can make this come down a little bit. So if they just keep to this launch cadence, this is a very positive catalyst for the company, because it gives them flight heritage. A lot of data they can use on this rocket. They can use in their neutron development. It gives them credibility, gives them a lot of income. So this would be a huge positive development. And another positive catalyst for the stock price is them just showing signs that the neutron program is going on schedule. And we are going to have a test flight very soon. We talked about it on Rocket Lab Weekly, that their wording is that they are going to have a neutron on the launch pad by the end of 2024. And the way we understand it is that that's a test flight in 2024. But it's correct that technically it can mean that there is a neutron just on the launch pad and it hasn't launched yet. But in any case, even if that's what they meant, if they would have that, the launch would be imminent. So I think that as long as we see signs that neutron is on target, is a huge positive catalyst for the stock. If you go to rocketlabusa.com, you can see the steps that they have done in 2023 and what steps are left to for an actual launch. We are really missing this first Archimedes engine hot fire. Then you can read through the steps yourself. Obviously, some of these we are going to see because it will be very visible. The launch complex, building the launch complex, The last thing that we saw is they were pouring concrete on the launch pad, and Peter Beck actually said that if you see us working on the launch pad, it means that we are very far into the development of Neutron, because Neutron will not have a supply tower. So the fact that they are building the pad, it means that the designs are finalized and very much to the end, and we saw them build a pad. So must mean that we're very, very close. So this is another positive development for the stock. Now the next one is if they announce any sort of new contract. This can be government, commercial. When they last announced a huge contract, it was on this day. The stock went up 22%. This was the SDA's $515 million contract. And we know from interviews that they are basically bidding for similar and bigger, both government and commercial contracts. So there isn't any reason why we can't have such a contract come through and be announced. Also, they can have Neutron contracts being announced, which would also be a huge catalyst for the stock, I believe. So they haven't really been selling Neutron launches because they want to be further down on the development. So if they would announce that, that would be that they feel very confident with the development and the customers feel very confident. So that would, trust me, be a very huge boost for the stock. Now, the fifth positive catalyst could be they just did a capital raise, and they mentioned many times in different documents that part of this capital raise is going to be for a possible acquisition of a new company. And I believe that the retail community is very much speculating that it could be a company named Raycon that is based in New Zealand that costs somewhere around $250 million. I hope it's not that company, because that would take out a very significant portion of Rocket Lab's cash. And I think that would be a negative catalyst for the stock. But if they find a company and they make a good deal and the street likes it, it can be a very positive catalyst for this company. So now let's go over to what can make the stock go down. So one of them is we are a rocket company, and technically at any point we can have a launch failure, like we had in Q4, or was it Q3 last year, somewhere in that time. And that's here, it was a negative 7% decrease in the stock. And if we would have a failure, it would mean that the FAA has to start an investigation and find out the reason, and it's reports and slow, and that would really throw a monkey wrench into trying to launch 22 launches this year. So I don't need to explain why that is bad. I think that the likelihood of this happening is very low. Electron is a very reliable rocket, and the accident that happened, as far as I understand, was a very freak accident, and even that is made basically impossible to happen again. And all these rocket blowups make the rocket just that much more reliable. Okay, risk number 2. Remember, the biggest risk is going to come in the end. So is a big chunk of insider selling. So the last time Peter Beck sold some shares, which was not even a huge part of his holding, and that created some of this. I don't know exactly when he sold, but that was part of why the stock cratered from $8 all the way down to $4. Again, the risk of this happening, I think, is very low because the stock price is very low, and Peter Beck has already, sold the shares that he wanted to start his own fund and, take some money off the table. So I don't think that it's needed. I think if there's going to be an insider selling, it's when the stock goes higher up. So the third negative catalyst that can happen is obviously if Neutron is delayed. I again don't need to explain this. Neutron cost the company a lot of money. And if it's delayed, it means that possibly there will be cost increases. And we need neutrons so that the company can be cash flow positive sooner. So then, the company being cash flow positive gets pushed out in time, and investors are not going to like it. So the fourth negative catalyst, as I mentioned before, if they announce a bad acquisition, I think Raycon would be such an acquisition, because pretty much if they would acquire Raycon, they would have to announce a new capital raise, and that would just dilute us shareholders again, and the stock would get punished. And the last time they announced the capital raise, we went down 17%. So now we come to the last point. So the biggest risk, I think, for Rocket Lab on the short term is the same risk that happened to PayPal and the same risk that happened to Alibaba. And for example, if you look at PayPal, I think I'm not invested in PayPal because I don't like the company, I don't get banks, but I do understand that the company is insanely undervalued and the street doesn't give it any credit. So basically, if you would use a DCF model on PayPal, you would see that it's priced to zero expansion and the company is still growing, and yet it's being priced to as if it wasn't growing at all, and it's basically a dinosaur company that is going to die out soon. And the only reason why the stock price of PayPal is so suppressed is because the market just doesn't get it, or they know something that we don't. Alibaba is very similar. It's been a value trap for a lot of people, because when you do your models, if that company was in the United States, it would be valued like 5x to what it is valued. But just because it's in China and the market doesn't like it, it has a crazy low valuation that frankly just doesn't make any sense. And I'm also not invested in Baba. Now, Rocket Lab is, I think, the most successful space stock that you can invest into. And investors have lost a lot of money betting on space stocks. Astra, for example, is going bankrupt. One of the Virgin companies, I forget if it's Virgin Orbit or whatever, one of the Virgin companies went bankrupt. I think almost none of the space IPOs is over where they're IPO'd at, so everybody just lost money. And I think investors are very pessimistic about space stocks because there isn't really a good example of a listed company. So SpaceX obviously is a super successful space stock, but it's not listed. It's a private company, and we cannot basically ride that wave. And all the other ones that are on the stock market, none of them look very good, okay? And somehow Rocket Lab, despite it doing fantastic and soon becoming cash flow positive, is being grouped into this. And I think that a lot of investors are, not for them it's like A equals A. Rocket Lab is a space stocks. Space stocks are bad. We're not investing into Rocket Lab. And frankly, I hate to say this, but this is a risk that on the short term we cannot mitigate. Like, if this happens, it happens. There's nothing we can do about it. If I run my models, Rocket Lab to me is worth today between $6 to $8, probably closer to $8. So we are crazy undervalued right now. But there is a chance that we actually stay in this level until they are meaningfully profitable, and they do like a Palantir, that they report 4 quarters of profitability, and then they report the 4th quarter, and then the market goes, oh my God, this is a great company, and they finally start seeing what we see, and then basically in a week the stock goes up 50%. And again, if that happens, there's just nothing that we can do about it. However, if you are thinking about buying the stock or adding to your holdings, and if you're okay with this fact that if you have a 5-year time horizon, probably the stock is going to end up in the same place. It's just if this last risk plays out, then we're going to stay at this $4, $5, $4, $5, $4, and then we go ping, $8. And obviously, we mentally want to see that the stock goes from $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, but it never happens like that, okay? And if you are looking at this stock to invest into this stock right now, you have to look at what is the risk and what is the reward. So if I go through all the positive catalysts, they're very likely to happen. If we go through the negative catalysts that I told you, they're very not likely to happen, except for this last one, that they are grouped into, you know, the bad stocks, and basically the market puts them in the doghouse. However, if you look at the historic stock movement of Rocket Lab, it has, like, it's at one of its lowest points. It has only a few times been below $3. So to be honest, you're not taking on a lot of risk when you're buying at $4. Your biggest risk is that the stock doesn't move up. I don't think that there's a lot of risk that the stock can go meaningfully lower. We can maybe visit the high threes again, maybe. I can't guarantee that, but to me, those chances are very low. The chances are very high that multiple of the positive catalysts that I told you is going to happen. But nonetheless, there is this risk that they are going to stay in the doghouse until they become meaningfully profitable. And we don't know when they become meaningfully profitable. Maybe they need to raise more money. To be honest, I know analysts are predicting that they will be cash flow positive in 2025, 2026. I'm predicting that they will be cash flow positive 2025, 2026. I've never heard the CFO of the company confirm this. I've never heard Peter Beck confirm this. If you guys have, you can post it in the comments. So maybe it will take more years until they become profitable. But again, if you have the long mindset, the stock is going to come here. It's just probably not going to happen like this. It's probably going to be like this and then crazy up, and then you will be crying that you were not in it. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. By the way, if you watched so far, I want to tell you, I started a membership on this channel. It was actually Arnie Trezzi from the Palantir community that brought my attention to this. So if you join the membership, you basically support the channel, and I'm going to work out some members only perks. But when we are live, you can get special badges to your name, and you get obviously priority when you comment on videos. But again, the most important thing is that you support the channel. And the thing is that my plan with this channel is I want to cover a few stocks that I invest into for 10, 20 years, and I want to help people who are long-term investors, help them follow the company, show them different viewpoints, and make sure that they can make the right investment decision and then stay with the right investment decision. And unfortunately, this type of channel is never going to make it on the views and on the AdSense because these niches are small, and that's okay, So anybody who supports the channel, I'm very thankful for. It helps me to spend more time researching stocks and make you more valuable content. So I just wanted to put it out there. It's a new thing. So if you're interested, you can click on the join button on the channel. But the most important thing for me is that you're watching, subscribing, and commenting on the videos, and I really appreciate you guys. And good luck with Rocket Lab if you decide to invest. Let me know in the comments what you decided. So see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.